Hello, fight fans. If you are looking for the time, the odds, and picks for UFC Fight Night 147, Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal London on ESPN+, you have came to the right place. I'm Mike of Fights with Friends. If I could get you to tap that like button, if you like what I do, I'd appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. We'd like to invite you to the family. Make sure to ring that bell so you're notified whenever I drop a new video or go live. We got a great triple header in the three main fights on this that I'm going to be breaking down. Let's get it on. First of all, for U.S. fans, we get this at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So those of you watching this over in Europe, you actually don't have to watch this at like 4 in the morning for once. So I'm happy for you guys. Let's get right into the breakdown. And by the way, if you want to watch this with us, I'll be doing a live reaction starting at 10 a.m. here on the channel on Mike with Fights of Friends. But let's jump right into the first fight, Volkan Oezdemir versus Dominick Reyes. Let's take a look at Oezdemir to begin with. He is a minus 240 underdog in this. Plus 200 underdog. Reyes is a minus 240 favorite. I think for good reason. He has lost 2 of his last fights. Before that, he did have a knockout over Jimmy Manawa and Misha Serkinov. Victory over OSP, though, was coming off of a 5-fight winning streak, and I think was a much different fighter. Just a few fights back, I think he has lost some confidence. I think Volkan Oezdemir has no time to lose if he wants to get back into the lightweight division. But let's look at Dominick Reyes. I think Dominick Reyes may be the top prospect at light heavyweight. If not, I think he's definitely in the top few, probably the top 3. And he is 10-0. He is on a 10-fight win streak because he has never lost. He's coming off a victory of OSP, unanimous decision, a brutal knockout of tough Jared Cannonier. Got a couple other good names on his resume. I think he does just about everything better than Volkan Oezdemir. I think he takes him out. I think he gets him through and knocks him out in the 3rd round. I'm going to call Dominic the Devastator Reyes as the winner by 3rd round. Let's get into the next fight. Gunnar Nelson versus Leon Edwards. Odds much closer here. Gunnar Nelson about a plus 130 underdog. Leon Edwards a minus 150 favorite. You may be able to get slightly better odds depending on what site you go on. Gunnar Nelson's coming off an impressive victory of Alex Oliveira. Rear naked submission. Very impressive because Alex Oliveira is a submission stud himself. Before that was knocked out by Santiago Ponzinibbio. First time he was finished in his career though. Before that his last loss was to Damian Maia. So he has won 2 of his last 3. He's kind of been like almost every other. Like he lost to Rick Story. Then he gets a win. Then he loses Damian Maia. He gets a couple other win over, game but not household name opponents. Gets knocked out by Ponzinibbio. Gunnar Nelson, he's only 30 years old, believe it or not. It seems like he has been fighting forever. But let's look at his opponent, Leon Edwards. 16-3. He's got 6 knockouts, 3 submissions. He comes into this, I believe, very confident on a 6-fight win streak. His last fight, a unanimous 5-round decision, main event against Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He's got a division went over the tough, showed that he was very tough. Brian Barberena, and right before that, beat the guy that Barberena just had that war with, Vicente Luque, and Brian Barberena just had what so far is the fight of the year, I think, in most people's minds. And Leon Edwards has beaten both those guys on the not too distant past. His last loss was to Kamaru Usman, the current champion, way back in 2015, so 3.5 years ago. He did go the distance. Kamaru won unanimously, but Kamaru's a tough out. I got to go with the favorite in this one. I think Gunnar Nelson is very durable, and I think he goes the distance, but I don't think he stops Leon Edwards. Edwards has never been stopped in his career. So I'm going to take Leon Edwards by unanimous decision. That brings us to our main event of the evening. Top contenders in the welterweight division, Jorge Masvidal and Darren Till. Let's get it on. First, let's go into Jorge Masvidal. 32-13, 45 fights. This guy's got 45 career MMA fights. That is a wealth of experience, and that is an understatement. Only been finished 3 times in his entire career. He is coming off a 2-loss win streak to Damian Maia and Stephen Thompson. The Maia was a split decision. Before that, he was coming off a 3-win streak. Wins over Ross Pearson. Knockouts of Jake Ellenberger and Donald Cerrone. Little bit of up and down. As you can see before that, during his career, lost to Lorenz Larkin and Benson Henderson back-to-back before the 3-fight winning streak. Always a great stablemate, a very, very tough guy. And he has not been finished. I believe this is finished not since 2009. Oh, if that was the last time he was finished, yes, 2009. So almost 10 years since Jorge Masvidal has been finished. To me, that's almost kind of like never being finished. You're not even the same fighter 10 years later. That's a very, very long time. Let's look at Darren Till, who comes into this a minus 260 favorite at home. He's got 17 wins. Of course, just came off his first loss ever to the former champion. Was champion at the time, Tyron Woodley. That was a much better looking Tyron than we've seen against Kamaru Usman. We don't know why. Tyron seemed to be on his game that night. Darren Till is the one that seemed like he couldn't pull the trigger his last time out. He comes into this fight a minus 260. Many are asking, how tough is this weight cut going to be on him, though? And he has been asked, you talked about going up to middleweight. I believe it was Luke Thomas. Told him, you've talked about going to middleweight. You're tired of the weight cut. What's going on? You're taking another fight at welterweight now. He said there's a lot of reasons for that. He said, well, first of all, Tyron Woodley just lost. So it's a good time to take another fight. The division's kind of reset. I have not fought Kamaru Usman. We've got a little beef between us. Styles make matchups. And the other thing he said was that's what the UFC is offering me is welterweight fights. They haven't offered me a middleweight fight. So I don't know if he's been pushing for it. But of course, before that loss to Tyron Woodley, he was coming off back-to-back wins over tough Stephen Thompson and Donald Cerrone. First round knockout of Donald Cerrone. Of course, that Stephen Thompson victory, a bit controversial. Especially being unanimous. I actually had that fight for Stephen Thompson. But what is important is he was before his hometown crowd. He will be there again, so he will be served up home judges again here on UFC London. I don't know if he's going to need him, but I don't think he finishes Jorge Masvidal. Like I said, Masvidal hasn't been finished in almost 10 years. Masvidal is going to come in hungry. He gives you a ton of different looks. He definitely could get Till down to the ground. Till has had good takedown defense up until his last fight. That weight cut, like I said, that's going to be a big story. If Darren Till comes in on weight, if he's not drained because of weight, I think the bigger story in this is the fact that Jorge Masvidal is a very small 170-pounder. He came up from 155. He's talked about going down to 155, which he probably will if he loses this fight. You have a motivated Darren Till. He knows he can get right back into title contention with a victory. So I see Darren Till by unanimous decision. I think he's just bigger. I think he's stronger. And he might finish Jorge just because he's so much bigger. But I'm going to say 5-round unanimous decision, Darren the Gorilla Till. But tell me, what do you guys think? Who do you have winning these fights? Let me know down there in the comments if there's any other fights on this card you want to talk about or anything else coming up. Like I said, 10 a.m. Pacific is the time for the stream. And then don't forget the next day, the 17th, is Selection Sunday, NCAA tournaments. We've all going to be getting our brackets in and such. But I will see you all very soon. Until then, as always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.